Moon 1, because, you know, protecting title screens and cutscenes. Now we're back to gameplay and microphone. Okay, welcome to Harvest Moon 1 World. A game that very much lives up to expectations for the kind of game that it is, but that will probably be my last Harvest Moon game. For a few reasons. I'm gonna go into the big one right away. Is that after getting it, I discovered the real reason why for the name change for the remakes between Harvest Moon and Sword of Seasons. I'm going a little fast here for my own brain, so just gotta calm it down for a bit. So to rewind, way back when I got Story of Seasons Friends of Middletown, a faithful recreation of my absolute favorite Harvest Moon game, I was a little curious about why they changed the name, but at the time I just kind of assumed that they were going to release the remakes under the Story of Seasons title, because I'm lazy. I don't look things up about corporate bureaucracy or pay attention to even the names of the developers when I'm playing a game. So I didn't even realize it wasn't the same company, Natsumi, that made the Story of Seasons games. It's not. That company, whose name I don't know because, again, I don't pay attention to much of anything except for how to play a game and what to do in it. That company was made out of the dev team behind the original Harvest Moon games, and by some corporate bureaucracy and all that, they retained the rights to those games, but not the Harvest Moon name. So that's why they've got the Story of Seasons name, and the ongoing Harvest Moon games made by Natsume have the Harvest Moon name. But the more interesting matter here is, why did they split in the first place? And that's what is fueling the fact that I'm not going to buy any more Harvest Moon games beyond this one, because I bought this one before I found this out. They split over disagreements about allowing same-sex couples. You would think that wouldn't be that big of a deal to me, being a boring old cis white male, but I am a straight ally to that community, and Kiersey herself happens to be bi. You see, as much as people might want corporations and YouTubers and real celebrities and aspiring YouTubers, I think that's about the closest I can get to those categories, to be completely apolitical, you can't be human without having some political bias. So, yeah, because of that political clash between our ideals and those of Natsume, we are not going to be endorsing the Harvest Moon franchise anymore. You might ask, why am I bothering making this video then? Well, in short, it's because I already bought the game, so I figure why not give it a fair review, since they're not going to get more money out of me for just playing this on my channel, because my channel's not monetized anyway. And beyond that, they're only going to get more money out of people seeing this video if said people happen to support their ideologies or just are so addicted to the franchise that they refuse to let it go. Either's fine. If you're in that category, you do you. I'm not here to tell anyone how to live their lives. But now that we're done with that part of the rant, time to go over this game. For the most part, it plays like any other Harvest Moon game, which I like. I love this game's style, or this franchise's style, and the general aesthetic. Relaxing, just tend your farm. After you're done tending your farm, maybe go do some mining, maybe do some fishing. I love it. With or without the cheating of save scumming that I do in Friends of Mineral Town. But I must say, as simple as Friends of Mineral Town is, I still like it better for a lot of reasons. Actually, I was gonna just point out two. Then I corrected myself. One is this. You notice how I'm grabbing seeds from these sprites that are just kind of hanging out, that I have to track down if I want a sprite for a specific seed that I'm after. That's how you get the seeds in this game. Now, the game does tell you if you ship enough of a crop that crop's seed will be added to certain shops. And I haven't seen that yet because anyone who's played a Harvest Moon game knows you don't ship raw crops if you can sell the cooked versions of them. They're worth so much more as cooked versions. So, obviously, I've unlocked no seeds, only the ones that are basic seeds in the shop anyway. When the grass seed would be a very good one for me to have unlocked, if it even is one that does. But again, shipping grass is worthless when you can turn it into feed for your animals and save yourself a lot of money that way. So instead, I've got to go gather seeds. And while the grass seed's a common one that pops up like nearly everywhere, a number of the seeds that you need for progressing story beats in the game are not. In fact, they're so rare they only have one spawn point, and they don't even reliably spawn at that spawn point. Like, they're not there every day. It makes me sad. That's a chickpea seed, by the way. I'll grab it, but I don't really need it. So yeah, I think they were trying to emulate, I believe I read Stardew Valley with this find your seeds mechanic. But they should still have the seeds for things you know you're going to commonly need, purchasable in stores. I think the best approach would be that once you find a seed, it becomes purchasable in stores, or that you get a profile for that seed in your diary, which you do have a diary in your house, that logs all the crops that you grow, and all the animals that you befriend. Ooh, yeah, I just recently did the magical berry crop, which luckily can't mutate, and the aqua strawberry that can't mutate. But the mutating that I just now mentioned is another thing. That one makes the game a little bit more interesting because when you plant a crop, you're not necessarily that crop. I've seen it most often with trying to get tomatoes. Nearly like 50% of the tomatoes I plant mutate into these San Marzano tomatoes. And the conditions for the difference there are simply planting on the beach. Half the time I was planting in the plains area, and I was still getting more or an equal amount of San Marzano tomatoes than normal tomatoes. So that mutation mechanic is just broken. I like I just mentioned, I also think that this journal should have a special page for seeds, or this crops page should fill in when you get a seed. And in addition to the other information that's on the screen here, information about when, where, and what conditions the sprite that holds the seed spawns under. Because I know for a fact that these barley seeds are needed for a lot of story beats, and they're far from being a common seed. They're not quite a rare seed like the Queen of Night, that's a seed that only has one spawn and doesn't spawn every day. Or the pointy cabbage. But the pointy cabbage is also needed for a story beat, and it is one of those that only has one spawn and spawns not every day. Oh wait, I was going to go to my shelf and put things away before I visit the mine. They did give you a lot more bag space in this game, which I appreciate. I very much appreciate more bag space in any game that's willing to give it to me. But they make you absolutely need that extra bag space with how much extra stuff you're going to be picking up to make it through this game. And one thing that any of you that are diehard Harvest Moon fans might have already noticed if you look at the upper left corner of my screen where the clock is, the time moves absurdly fast compared to other Harvest Moon games. In fact, exactly twice as fast. 1 minute passes for every half a second in the real world that you're not at a pause menu. And, oh look, time still passes when you're in the mine. That is garbage. That has never been in any Harvest Moon game before. Same with the rocks that take multiple hits to break, even with the maximum upgraded hammer. The mine used to be a place that, well, yes, there was a lot of hard work to do to dig around in the mine. It was hard work when the timer stopped, so you weren't stressed trying to reach deeper floors. That isn't to say time doesn't pass in the mine in Friends of Mineral Town or other Harvest Moon games. It totally does, but it passes at a static rate based upon how many floors you go down, not how much you do on any single floor. This gave you all the time in the world to find the ladder down, and all it costs is your stamina. Speaking of stamina, that gets me onto my next point. I really am giving this game a hard time for saying I'm giving it a fair shake. But this hard time really is a fair shake. Trust me, as a fan of this franchise, this hard time is a fair shake. But speaking of stamina, one thing you might not have noticed, because it happens at such a slow rate that it's not really noticeable once you're in endgame status, but at the beginning of the game when you have like next to no stamina to begin with, just running spends your stamina in this game. You don't even have to be actually doing anything. Just running around from point A to point B, making it from the first town to the second town, it takes like half your stamina bar just in and of itself. And that's before you have the fast travel mechanics, so you have to run back. So you need some kind of food to make it back with your basic stamina bar from your first trip to the new town. It's just totally lame. Pairing that with the unforgiving double-speed clock, you really don't have a chance to relax at all in this game, when these games, the whole point behind them was a relaxing space to just manage a farm, do some mining, do some fishing, enjoy this lovely, peaceful environment. And oh yeah, for the record, I am totally a hoarder, and I know that. And I love any of you guys who pointed out. Just because I myself already pointed out. Oh, save screens are where it cuts to just the microphone audio. Okay, got it. Got it. Now, if I'm not mistaken, my wife here, Kiersey. Yeah, there's a character in this game actually named Kiersey. It gets some points for that. And she's an archaeologist and a teacher, which are not necessarily jobs that my Kiersey would do. Maybe the archaeology. She likes playing in the dirt. And finding new things. So finding new things by playing in the dirt would probably just be a total win for her. But the NPCs will give you a request, and I believe my Kiersey here wants 2 rubies. I think I can do that. How many rubies did I find while I was diggy hole? Exactly 2 rubies. I just gotta refine them. But I'll do that after taking care of my animals, because that gets me to the next grievance in this game. While the auto tool system, the smart tool system that this game was designed with, I think also emulating the Stardew Valley. I haven't played Stardew Valley, but I read a review comparing a lot of the new mechanics in this game to Stardew Valley's mechanics, so I'm guessing that's where they got the smart tool thing. While that very much streamlines your ability to do everything in this game, because it just automatically selects the tool you're supposed to use for that thing with just the action button. It also prevents you from skipping the petting and brushing of animals to just harvest their wool or milk. if they're already at maximum happiness, friendship, whatever. And you'll notice I'm stopping to pet the chickens every day, even though they're pretty well at maximum happiness already. Well, except for the new one. Babies don't start max happy. But that takes a lot of time. You notice I didn't get out of my barn until almost 8:30. When under normal circumstances, with just, you know, Harvest and Go in another Harvest Moon game, when they're already maxed out, I'd be out of my barn by maybe 7. It's just another part where that unforgiving double time clock really hurts you. But the reason why I even after complaining about needing to stop and pet my cows and sheep before I could harvest from them, I still pet the chickens, is that the happiness of your animals degrades so much faster in this game than any other Harvest Moon game. I want to say they lose half a music note a day, but that's probably worse than it actually is. It's more like maybe a half a music note every 2 days or so. Still awful, but not the worst in the world. But because of that fact, you have to just feeding your animals is not enough to keep them happy once you've already gotten them happy. And their ability to produce depends upon their happiness level. You have to keep that up. I know, it's absurd. Or at least, as someone who's been a faithful fan of this franchise and its spin-off franchise, Story of Seasons, that I'm going to switch to being a fan of that instead. It just hurts to know that they're twisting the mechanics to the point where you absolutely have to do things rather than, oh, you want to pet your animals just because it's cute to do so? Go ahead. That would be fine. That would be exactly my ideal scenario for taking care of my animals. I would still pet them just because I want to, but you're not forcing me to. If that makes sense. And keep in mind, all these mechanics I'm complaining about that make you spend more time doing stuff are all made even worse by the fact that the clock moves twice as fast. I am not even kidding when I say that I love this franchise, but don't quite love this game. So, if future games in the franchise are made using this model instead of the classic model, then I feel no remorse at all for quitting on this series. I have, however, heard that there is a new Story of Seasons game out. I have not heard the title of it, or not out, but in the works. I have not heard the title of it or its release date. But as long as it's available for PC and or PlayStation, preferably PC, I just really prefer playing on my computer. But if it's available for either of those, then I'll get it. If it's only available for the Switch, which I have heard some claim that it's a Switch exclusive, but if it is only available for the Switch, then I'm going to be very sad and probably have to buy a Switch and figure out how to record while playing on that, because I'm not abandoning Story of Seasons. Hi, Kiersey. Hey, where? Anyway, that's all I have to say about this okay Harvest Moon game. It's not horrible, it's not great, it's decent. I'll give it that. That's all I have to say about it. So with that all being said, I am going to probably get back to Hollow Knight now, which I've thankfully been making some decent progress and did some progress off camera between videos. but I'll explain once I get there. Bye-bye.